Tony Stewart will join the Fox TV booth for both the Clash at the Coliseum and the Daytona 500. How will Fox's TV coverage look different this season? Let's discuss. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I missed you guys. We've got a lot to cover here today. First, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. Lots of great content coming to not only this channel, but also other media platforms. So be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the latest from the world of NASCAR. Now, I'm excited to talk about Fox TV, Tony Stewart. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. I've been thinking about it all weekend. First, I want to talk about a couple smaller stories. Earlier this weekend, Ben Kennedy, NASCAR executive who's largely responsible for managing the schedule year to year, according to Adam Stern, he said he is leaning towards keeping the LA Coliseum somewhere on NASCAR's schedule over the next couple of years following 2022, but a final decision by the full leadership team will not be made until after next month's inaugural event. That's right, we are less than 2 weeks away from the LA Clash, the Clash at the Coliseum. I'm gonna be there, hopefully I see a bunch of y'all out in California as well, but let's talk about the future of the LA Memorial Coliseum. Ben Kennedy says he'd love to see it on the schedule for years to come. The two most logical places on the schedule I could see the LA Memorial Coliseum permanently fitting into would be A, in its current role as the season opening Clash exhibition race, or B, as the All-Star race. I really only see the LA Memorial Coliseum existing as an exhibition venue for NASCAR. I will be surprised if NASCAR runs a points-paying event at a track like this. It would virtually require NASCAR to make a points-paying event an elimination-style event with heat races, which theoretically they could do. I mean, they've done it for the Truck Series at Eldora in the past, but I'd be surprised if they did it for the NASCAR Cup Series, at least in the near future. So if the LA Memorial Coliseum turns out to be a great venue for NASCAR, if the race in a couple weeks is fantastic, if it sells a lot of tickets, if it gets great numbers on TV, I could see it returning as the site of the Clash maybe for years to come. Maybe NASCAR has finally found a new niche for the Clash, an event that had lost pretty much all its luster out at Daytona over the last few years. That would be great. Maybe it takes over the All-Star race. I know they're gonna have to pry that date away from Speedway Motorsports, but maybe they can make it happen whenever the next contract is up for negotiation. Either way, I will be shocked if the LA Memorial Clash is run as a points-paying race in the near future. Obviously, NASCAR could surprise me, but I would be surprised if they jumped that deep into these waters that quickly. What's really key about the LA Memorial Coliseum, though, is that if this race in a couple weeks goes off well as an exhibition race, if it's fun, if the racing is competitive, the fans enjoy it, this opens up opportunities for NASCAR to go race in bigger markets, because every major city in the US pretty much has a large sports stadium, a large football field, soccer stadium. If NASCAR can race on a quarter-mile short track, they could bring that action to just about any major city in the US and many major cities international. This could be the ticket for NASCAR to go to Europe in the next few years. Obviously, they could race in Canada or Mexico. There's some great racetracks that already exist that I'd like to see them explore first. But if NASCAR ever wants to do an exhibition in the UK, I'll bet every major city in the UK has a huge soccer stadium that a NASCAR track could theoretically fit inside of. This could be the path forward to international NASCAR Cup Series racing. It's maybe possible. Not in the next couple years, but a few years down the line, I wouldn't rule it out. If the Clash at the Coliseum in a couple weeks is deemed successful, there's a real future for stadium racing in NASCAR, for better or worse. At least at short tracks. I like short tracks. I like purpose-built short tracks a little bit more, but I'll take what I can get at this point. Anyway, a story from this morning that I want to talk about real quick. Sort of a follow-up to a story from a few weeks ago, but Kaulig confirmed what races specifically Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, and Daniel Hemrick will run this year in the NASCAR Cup Series. Remember, Kaulig has two charters, two full-time cars. Justin Haley's driving the 31. He's going to start all 38 races. He's going to run for the championship. That second car, I assume the 16 car, will be their all-star car. AJ Allmendinger is going to run most of the races next year, but Noah Gragson's going to make a bunch of starts. Daniel Hemrick will make a bunch of starts in it as well. That's the part-timer car, the trophy hunting car, if you will. Well, today they put this graphic out showing exactly what races each driver will participate in, and you can see a clear trend. I like what they're doing here. AJ Allmendinger is making the most starts in that car, which makes sense. He did win last year in this car, and you notice he's doing all the road courses, which makes sense. Like I said, this is the trophy hunting car. They want to match up their drivers with the tracks they think they'll be the most successful at. that. So AJ Allmendinger, arguably the best road course racer in the Cup Series right now. Having him run all of the road courses makes the most sense. Meanwhile, Noah Gragson, who's still looking to get some experience, he's doing most of the intermediates. Throw Atlanta in there. I know it's a mile and a half. It's going to race like a super speedway. At least that's what NASCAR is hoping for. It's still a mile and a half. It's still an intermediate track in my opinion, even though they're running the super speedway package this year. But most of Noah Gragson's schedule, I mean, Kansas, Texas, a lot of mile and a half, a lot of intermediates, Michigan, Pocono. Yeah, some short tracks thrown in there, Martinsville. He's got Homestead, Miami on his schedule, which makes a ton of sense. We saw how fast Noah Gragson was at Homestead, Miami last year in an Xfinity car, the year before in an Xfinity car. That's his best track in all of NASCAR. Homestead, Miami Speedway. Makes sense that they'd put him in a Cup car for that event. Meanwhile, Daniel Hemrick making the fewest starts of the three. He's getting all of the super speedway events. Well, except Atlanta, I guess, if you count that. But Daniel Hemrick, all the super speedways. Noah Gragson, younger, developing. Give him a mix of intermediate and some shorter tracks. They also got Bristol Dirt thrown in there, which is a wild card. And AJ Allmendinger, have him go out there and chase trophies at the road courses. I think this is a great strategy by Kaulig. I will not be surprised if the 16 car finds victory lane again this season with a part-time driver behind the wheel. They're going at this in a very strategic and I would say a very smart manner. All right, now let's talk Fox. Let's talk television. It's been a while since I sat down and ranted about NASCAR TV broadcasts. Well, you're in for a treat today. This weekend during NFL playoff action, Fox revealed on national TV in front of millions that Tony Stewart will join the Fox broadcast booth for the season opening Busch Clash at the Coliseum and the Daytona 500. Two huge marquee events. Tony Stewart, smoke, three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, will be a part of the broadcast alongside his former racing teammate Clint Bowyer and Mike Joy, of course, a true professional, a staple of Fox's NASCAR coverage for decades now. This news just about made my weekend. Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal also reported that Fox is expected to rotate talent for that third position this season. So Stewart may only get the first two races, but there will be someone in that role for every Fox or FS1 race this season. That has me very, very excited for a number of reasons. One, as I've said all offseason, I was not excited about the idea of a Mike Joy, Clint Bowyer only booth. It didn't work a couple of years ago when it was Mike Joy and just Jeff Gordon. They need a third person to balance that situation out. It's jarring as a fan to go from a two-person booth for the first half of the year with Fox to then a four-person booth with NBC. That's too jarring. Three is a magic number. You could argue NBC has too many. I think Fox, if they had gone with just Bowyer and Joy, would have had too few. So this news that there will in fact be a third person every week has me very excited. But another reason this has me excited, this opens up the possibility of Larry McReynolds getting more TV time once again. You know, he tweeted he very much misses being at the track and says it's not true that he doesn't want to travel anymore. He said the same thing last year and we talked about it then, but it certainly sounds like Larry McReynolds is open to having an increased role in the TV broadcast once again. This could also give other, perhaps younger driver or crew chief talents under the Fox umbrella a chance to shine as well. I've long said that Jamie McMurray would maybe be my choice to fill that third spot in the booth, at least give him a shot. There were some reports a couple weeks ago, it looks like Todd Bodine might have a more involved role with the broadcast. I think that'd be pretty cool. My only request, and some people may disagree with me, but please, Fox, whatever you do not invite Michael Waltrip into the TV booth for any Cup Series races this year. I don't think I can stomach Clint Bowyer and Michael Waltrip at the same time, both doing color commentary. I can't do it. That move would literally go against everything I've been pushing Fox to do over the past season. I want NASCAR and Fox to treat NASCAR more seriously, treat it like the world-class sporting event that it is. You bring in Michael Waltrip and Clint Bowyer, you would be doubling down on the Talladega Nights. Please, no, that's all I ask. They have, what, close to 20 races to fill out on the schedule? They've got Tony Stewart for two of them. That leaves at least 18 races left. I'd be shocked if Michael Waltrip doesn't get the call for some of them. I'm just hoping and praying it's not many. I digress. Going back to Tony Stewart specifically for a moment, I'm excited about this. I know it's only two races, but it is two big races that will both be on Big Fox. The first two races of the season, I think a lot of people will be tuning in. I was never a fan of Tony Stewart as a driver. I've made that clear many times in the past. I was a Matt Kenseth fan. Of course I was not a Tony Stewart fan. My goodness. But I always respected his driving talent, and you have to respect what he's done since his full-time driving career has ended. Co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, obviously he did that while he was driving for a while. He's just started up a drag racing team. He owns Eldora Speedway. He's started a whole new racing series, the Superstar Racing Experience. He's been extremely busy. He's just a racer. I think his natural enthusiasm for racing, his appreciation for the discipline will come through greatly on the broadcast and will be a breath of fresh air, I think, to many fans watching, especially for the Daytona 500 when millions and millions of fans are tuned in, more so than really for any other race on the schedule. I think that will be tremendous, a tremendous way to begin Fox's portion of the year. And whether it's Tony Stewart or the revolving cast of characters they select for that third booth spot this year, I hope Fox is able to get one thing out of their broadcast this year, and that's honesty. The last few years with Jeff Gordon just felt way too scripted, whether it was him with Darrell Waltrip, whether it was just him with Mike Joy, whether it was him and Boyer last year. It just felt too rehearsed. Like Jeff Gordon was afraid to step on anything Mike Joy was saying. It felt like Clint Boyer had like a pre-written book of Boyer-isms that he rehearsed before the race. Mike Joy's still great, but as long as he's been doing this, it sometimes felt like he was just on autopilot, going through the motions. The last few years have felt way too vanilla to me. And I think one thing that could be improved on this year is honesty. Honesty in the moment, like big honest reactions to what's happening on the racetrack. For one, I think that's what Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been able to bring to NBC the last few years, and I think that's what's made many of those broadcasts so fun, is he is living in the moment. When he reacts to something on the track, it is purely honest. He's not holding back. We need more of that from Boyer, Joy, whoever else is in the booth this year. I think Tony Stewart will hopefully help with that. And we also need honesty about what's actually happening on the racetrack, like who's at fault for this wreck? Was it a good call by NASCAR? Who's actually overachieving? Who's actually underachieving? Like, as a fan who watches the majority of races from home, I've been craving commentators who, and this is a totally overused phrase, commentators who tell it like it is. God, that's so cheesy, but I actually mean it in this case. You know, Mike Joy is a true professional. He's been doing this a long time. He's great. Clint Boyer is the laid-back kind of goofball character, okay? Some comic relief, I'm okay with that, but the third character needs to be someone who can make the viewer at home feel exactly what's at stake. Millions of dollars, drivers and pit crew members putting their health and safety on the line, tens of thousands of fans from all over the country in the seats. This is a huge deal. A NASCAR Cup Series race is a major, major event. Whoever that third person in the booth is needs to amplify that. We need more gravitas and less, like I said, less Talladega Nights. To me, the tone of the TV broadcasts are where F1 completely annihilated NASCAR most of 2021. And now it's primarily on Fox to try and reverse that trend. I think they could learn a thing or two from the way Formula One covers their races. The TV coverage matters a ton. I mean, yes, 50, 60,000 fans on average go to NASCAR Cup Series races and watch them in person, but for the millions more at home who can't go to the race in person, they're forced to watch the race through whatever lens Fox or NBC provide. If Fox or NBC doesn't have a camera on a wreck, most of the fans at home aren't going to see it. The TV broadcast has an immense amount of power. They have the ability to make or break many on-track moments. The way the sport is covered matters immensely. I hope whoever Fox puts in that third spot over the course of the first half of the season, I hope they understand that, and I hope the directors and producers over at Fox go a more serious direction this season than in recent years. That's my hope. Those are my wishes. We'll see what kind of choices they make at the beginning of this season, but those are my thoughts. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you like Tony Stewart being in the booth for the Daytona 500? Who all would you like to see fill out that third spot in the broadcast booth? Leave your comments down below. I look forward to reading them, but that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching, y'all. I appreciate you guys letting me rant about TV coverage once again. Again, it's been a few months since we've done that. Felt good, felt real cathartic. As always, a big thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters as well. Couldn't do the show without your tremendous support. I greatly appreciate it. Lots more to talk about this week. We'll be back again very soon. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll see you in the next video.